My child, before you move your finger again, before you decide this is just another message, hear me for 1 minute, because what I am about to say cannot wait. There have been many voices around you today, many sounds pulling your attention in different directions, many thoughts crowding your heart before you even understood why your spirit felt so tired. Yet among all those voices, I have chosen this exact moment to speak where you cannot say it happened by chance. I know how quickly your mind moves, how easily your attention is stolen by what feels urgent, by what appears important, by what demands your eyes even when your soul remains empty afterward. But I tell you now, this moment carries something heavier than distraction and deeper than ordinary words, because while you were moving through your day believing nothing unusual was happening, I had already prepared this meeting between my heart and yours. I did not call you here to entertain your mind for a few seconds and then let you continue unchanged. I stopped you because something inside you has been quietly asking questions you have not spoken aloud, and today I refuse to let those questions remain unanswered. I know you almost moved away. I know part of you thought this could wait. But there are moments that should not be delayed, and this is one of them, because what I am placing before you now is not random language, not passing emotion, but a word arranged with care for the exact condition of your soul. You were not brought here by accident. I arranged this exact second before you were born because today I must remind you of something you have forgotten. Before this day had a date, before your eyes learned how to recognize light, before anyone around you ever imagined the shape of your future, I had already marked this hour with purpose. You think many things happen because of ordinary timing, but there are moments I set aside long before you understand their meaning, and this is one of them. There are reminders I wait to release until the heart is tired enough to listen deeply, until disappointment has softened pride, until silence has created enough room for truth to finally enter. You have been carrying thoughts that have quietly pushed my truth to the edges of your attention. You remembered pain more easily than promise. You remembered delay more easily than purpose. You remembered what others failed to give you more clearly than what I have never stopped giving you. So today I speak because forgetting who you are has been costing you peace, and forgetting how closely I have remained has been feeding fears that were never meant to rule you. I arranged this second because heaven does not waste timing, and I do not interrupt without reason. Am I not worth 1 minute of your attention after all the nights I stayed near you when no one knew you were breaking? There were nights when you looked calm to everyone else while your thoughts were falling apart inside. There were moments when your face carried silence but your heart carried noise that nobody heard. I was there when you lay awake with questions you did not know how to explain. I stayed when others slept, when conversations ended, when messages stopped coming, when you felt the room around you grow quiet enough for your hidden pain to become loud. I watched every breath you took while trying not to cry too hard. I heard the words you never formed because even speaking them felt too heavy. I remained beside you when you doubted whether anyone truly understood how tired you had become. So I ask you gently now, after all the nights my presence stayed close even when you did not recognize it, can you not stay here for 1 minute and listen while I answer what your tears have already said to me many times? I have never measured your worth by how strong you looked in front of others. I have always listened beneath appearances, beneath forced smiles, beneath delayed responses, beneath the moments you told yourself to keep going while your heart begged for relief. Before your mother ever heard your heartbeat, I've already spoke your name in heaven. Before your existence had form on earth, your identity already lived in my knowing. Before anyone chose expectations for you, before family history touched you, before the world placed pressure on you, before mistakes and memories gathered around your life, I knew you completely. Your beginning did not start when human eyes first saw you. Your beginning was held inside my intention before time taught you fear. I spoke your name where eternity hears clearly, and I did not speak it with uncertainty. I spoke it with love, with purpose, with full awareness of every season you would pass through and every place where you would one day need this reminder. Nothing about you surprised me later. Not your weakness, not your confusion, not the moments when you questioned your own value. I knew the chapters you would struggle through, and still I called you into life. I did not hesitate when I formed your story, because purpose existed before pain ever arrived. Your name was written where no darkness can erase it, and yet you still question if you matter to me. Darkness has tried to teach you that what hurt deeply must also define deeply, but pain has never had authority to rewrite what I established. The failures you remember cannot remove what heaven recorded. The moments you regret cannot erase what my love decided long ago. There are days when your own thoughts speak against you with such force that you begin believing distance where there is none, rejection where there is none, abandonment where there is none. But your identity has never depended on the changing condition of your emotions. What I wrote about you remains untouched by the shadows that pass through your life. Even now, while you wonder whether you still matter after certain disappointments, I am telling you clearly that your value has not moved. Heaven does not revise love every time you feel weak. Heaven does not cross out names because a season became difficult. Type Jesus, I desperately need you if you know he's your only true answer. Do not scroll away now, because what you skipped today may be the answer you begged me for in secret. You have prayed quietly for clarity, for peace, for understanding, for some sign that I still see the details nobody else notices. Sometimes you asked with words, sometimes only with tears, sometimes only with tired silence that carried longing deeper than speech. And now that I answer, do not let habit move you away too quickly. Many people ask for direction but struggle to remain still when direction arrives softly. Many ask for reassurance but miss it because it does not come wrapped in dramatic signs. Yet I often answer through moments that seem ordinary until the heart listens carefully. Stay because the answer you thought would arrive another way may already be speaking now. Something has already begun shifting around you, and if you ignore this moment, you may miss why your spirit has been restless. You have sensed changes you could not explain clearly. Some things no longer satisfy you the way they once did. Some thoughts return more often than before. Some emotions rise without clear reason. That restlessness has not been meaningless. It is often in such moments that I begin moving beneath what you can immediately understand. I allow certain comforts to lose their hold so your attention can return to what matters deeply. Not every discomfort is punishment. Sometimes it is preparation. Sometimes it is the quiet signal that one season inside you is ending while another is beginning. I have watched your silent tears, your hidden disappointment, your private questions, and today I am answering. I saw the moments you quickly wiped your face before anyone noticed. I saw the times disappointment settled inside you while you still spoke as though everything was fine. I heard the private questions you never trusted others enough to ask aloud. Questions about why some doors closed, why some people changed, why some prayers seemed delayed, why strength sometimes felt harder to find. None of those moments escaped me. Silence does not hide pain from me. Quiet suffering is still fully visible in my sight. And because I saw it all, I speak now not as someone distant from your struggle, but as the one who remained present through every hidden moment. This is not for everyone. Many will pass by, but you remain because this word carries your name. Many will hear similar words and move quickly because they are not listening with the same hunger your spirit carries right now. But you remain because something inside you recognizes that this moment touches a place you have not fully explained even to yourself. There is a reason certain words feel heavier when they reach you. There is a reason your attention stayed when it could have moved elsewhere. Your spirit knows when truth arrives near a wound that needs light. Stay until the end, because the last part of what I tell you will explain why your recent pain was allowed. Not every answer comes at the first sentence. Some truths must unfold slowly because hearts understand deeply only when they remain present long enough for meaning to settle. What has hurt you recently has made you ask questions that deserve honest light, and I will not leave those questions untouched. Remain here, because before this moment ends, I want you to understand that even what wounded you has not escaped purpose, and even what confused you has not removed my hand from your life. My child, this exact moment did not arrive by accident, and it did not appear before your eyes because of ordinary timing. Before you touched this screen, before you paused to hear, before your mind even decided whether to stay or move away, I had already arranged this meeting with precision that reaches far beyond what you can see. I know how easily you call things coincidence when you do not yet understand how carefully I move through the hidden spaces of your day. I know how often you think something simply appears because you happen to be present when it arrived. Yet I tell you now with tenderness and authority that I do not speak without purpose, and I do not interrupt your attention without reason. There are countless moments in a single day that pass without carrying eternal weight, but there are also moments chosen long before they happen, moments prepared in silence, moments heaven watches closely because they contain something your heart urgently needs. This is one of those moments. You may have believed you were simply moving through another ordinary minute, another ordinary pause, another ordinary piece of content placed before you among many others. But this minute carries more than you understand right now because I chose it carefully, knowing exactly how tired your spirit has become, and exactly what your heart has been trying to hold together in silence. Please support our channel. Our work is devoted to bringing happiness into your life and encouraging devotion to God. If you would like to support us, you can donate through Super Thanks. I stop you today because heaven has watched your exhaustion more closely than you realize. Even when you kept moving, even when you smiled where others expected smiles, even when you answered questions as if nothing heavy was happening inside you, heaven still saw what your words never explained. There were moments recently when your body continued through routine while your inner strength quietly weakened. There were mornings when you woke already carrying yesterday's heaviness before the day had even begun. There were hours when simple things felt harder than they should have felt, not because you lacked strength, but because your soul has been carrying more than anyone around you fully understands. I saw the hidden fatigue behind your eyes. I saw the way silence sometimes became safer than explaining what you could not easily put into words. I saw how you kept functioning while inwardly asking why peace has felt harder to hold lately. And because heaven watches not only what people do but also what they endure quietly, I would not allow this day to pass without placing my voice directly where your weariness could meet it. This is why I interrupted your scrolling, because your soul has reached a place where ordinary distraction can no longer heal what deeper truth must touch. You have spent enough time moving quickly past things while your spirit quietly asks for something real. You have looked at many words, heard many voices, passed many messages, but today I chose to stand inside the flow of your movement and call your attention with greater urgency because there are seasons when continuing without pause becomes dangerous for the heart. Not dangerous because of visible disaster, but because when a heart stays tied too long without hearing truth clearly, fear begins to sound convincing, doubt begins to sound reasonable, and silence begins to feel like proof that nothing is changing. I will not let those lies settle deeper inside you without speaking against them. So I interrupted this moment not to burden you, but to rescue your attention before more heaviness builds around thoughts that need my light now, not later. You thought you found this message, but I sent it searching for you. Long before you noticed these words, I knew exactly when your eyes would meet them. Long before your hand paused, I knew the condition of your heart in this exact minute. You did not discover this by chance while moving through random moments. I allowed this word to meet you because I know what has been sitting inside you unspoken. I know what you have recently pushed aside because there was no strength to examine it deeply. I know the questions you keep postponing because answering them alone feels too heavy. I know the places where disappointment has quietly settled, the places where hope has become cautious, the places where you still speak normally while inwardly wondering why certain things remain unresolved. So do not think this arrived because timing happened to align by accident. I sent this searching for you because love does not wait passively when the heart begins to drift beneath silent weight. There have been signs recently that you noticed but did not fully understand. Small moments that touch your thoughts unexpectedly. Sudden memories that returned without warning. A certain heaviness when alone. A strange pull toward silence. A sentence you heard somewhere that stayed longer than usual. A feeling that something around you is changing even though nothing obvious has yet changed outside. These were not empty moments. Many of them were gentle signs I allowed near you because I was already trying to draw your attention before today. But often you moved past them because life was loud, because responsibilities were immediate, because tiredness made reflection difficult, because your mind was too occupied with surviving the day to ask why certain moments felt unusually deep. Still, I remained patient, because I knew there would come a point when I would need to stop you more clearly and say, "Listen now, because what you have been sensing deserves understanding." This message is not random media placed in front of you to fill empty seconds. This is not ordinary language passing through a crowded day. This is a divine appointment arranged with intention, because I do not speak merely to create emotion. I speak when truth must reach a heart at the right moment. Many things in your day ask for your eyes, but do not know your soul. Many voices compete for attention but carry nothing eternal for your spirit. But my voice does not arrive empty. When I speak, it is because something within you needs alignment, reassurance, correction, healing, or awakening. That is why this moment feels different to you even if you cannot yet explain why. Something inside you recognizes when words carry weight beyond ordinary speech. That quiet pause you felt before continuing, that inner hesitation before moving away, that subtle sense that you should remain here a little longer, that is because your spirit knows this is not empty noise. It knows when truth comes near enough to touch hidden places. I also stopped you because you have recently ignored how much you need stillness. You have continued through thoughts, tasks, worries, conversations, responsibilities, and distractions while quietly postponing what your soul has needed to hear. You kept saying you would think later, rest later, pray later, feel later, understand later. But there are moments when later becomes too crowded, and the heart begins carrying unfinished burdens into every new day. I know you have tried to stay strong by continuing forward, but strength without pause can become another form of hidden exhaustion. That is why I chose not to wait until another day. I chose now because now is when your spirit is listening more deeply than you realize, even if your mind still feels uncertain. Heaven has also seen the nights that looked ordinary from outside but carried hidden struggle inside you. Nights when you were surrounded by silence yet your thoughts would not settle. Nights when questions returned because distraction had ended. Nights when memories felt louder than they should have. Nights when you felt tired enough to sleep but not peaceful enough to rest. I was there in every one of those hours. I watched every attempt to calm yourself. I heard every inward question you did not say aloud. I remained near when you wondered whether anyone truly understood the weight you were carrying. So when I stop you now, understand that I am not speaking from distance. I am speaking from the same nearness that has already surrounded your hardest quiet moments. There is urgency in my voice because certain thoughts have been growing too strong inside you without enough truth answering them. You have recently allowed some fears to stay longer than they should. You have replayed certain disappointments more than necessary. You have carried certain uncertainties until they began shaping how you view what lies ahead. I know why this happened. Tired hearts often become vulnerable to quiet lies. When answers delay, the mind begins writing explanations that are not always true. When doors remain closed, the heart sometimes assumes abandonment. When peace feels distant, people often believe something is wrong with them rather than recognizing they simply need my voice more clearly again. So I speak now before those thoughts settle deeper than they should. Comment, I live and breathe for you, Christ, if your life rests safely in His hands. I want you to feel the intimacy of this moment because I am not addressing a crowd in your hearing. I am addressing you directly. I know your pace, your recent disappointments, your private fatigue, your hidden questions, your efforts to remain composed, your moments of sudden sadness, your confusion about why some things still feel unfinished inside you. I know all of it, and because I know all of it, I would not let this day continue without speaking plainly. You are not overlooked. Your exhaustion is not unseen, and your recent heaviness has not happened outside my awareness. This interruption is mercy, not accident. It is love choosing not to remain silent while your heart quietly searches for meaning. It is my hand touching your attention before the day carries you farther away again. It is my voice saying gently but firmly, stay here now, because what I speak next matters more than you understand at this moment. There are truths your heart needs before this day ends. And I have chosen this exact moment because I know exactly when your spirit is ready to hear them. My child, long before anyone on earth learned how to say your name, I had already knew the sound of your life. Before human voices ever welcomed you, before human hands ever held you, before your first breath entered this world, you were already fully present in my knowing. You did not begin when people first noticed you. You did not become real when your family first celebrated your arrival. Your existence did not begin at the moment Earth acknowledged you, because before Earth had language for your presence, Heaven already carried the record of who you were. I knew you before the womb became your shelter. I knew you before time formed your first day. I knew you before anyone had expectations for you. Before anyone imagined what you would become, before anyone decided what they believed about you. There has never been a moment when you were unknown to me, because before creation ever placed you into history, you already existed inside my intention. Before the womb held you, my thought had already embraced you. Before your body was formed in hidden places, your purpose was already alive before me. Human eyes first saw your body, but my heart had already seen your future. I watched the first hidden movements of your life before your mother understood what she was carrying. I was there before heartbeat, before form, before visible shape, before the quiet mystery of life became visible to anyone on earth. What people later called your beginning was only the moment they finally touched what I had already spoken long before. Even in the secret place where no human eye could yet recognize you, I was already speaking identity over you, already surrounding you with purpose, already knowing the roads you would walk, the tears you would cry, the questions you would one day ask, and the strength you would need in seasons you could not yet imagine. Before family knew you, I knew you. Before anyone chose how to love you, before anyone chose how to misunderstand you, before anyone decided what they expected from you, before human relationships began shaping your early memories, I had already called you mine. Family became part of your earthly story, but family was never the first place your identity was written. People around you may have loved you, guided you, failed you, confused you, encouraged you, or wounded you in different seasons, but none of those things were the first truth about you. The first truth is that before any family history touched your life, I had already established something deeper than inheritance, deeper than human patterns, deeper than everything passed through generations. I placed meaning in you that did not depend on whether others fully understood what they were holding. Before the world knew you, I knew you. Before streets had your footsteps, before schools heard your voice, before society measured you, before labels reached you, before comparisons ever touched your mind, before opinions surrounded your name, I had already looked upon you with complete understanding. The world often teaches people who they are by how they are received, I how they are noticed, I how they are praised, I how they are accepted, but your true identity was never supposed to depend on any of those changing things. The world arrived later. My knowing came first. The world may have offered you confusion at times, but heaven had already recorded clarity before the world ever began speaking loudly around you. Before pain entered your life, I knew what would try to touch you, and still I chose your life with love. Before disappointment ever reached your heart, before betrayal ever taught you caution, before tears ever introduced you to loneliness, before delay ever made you question timing, before rejection ever made you wonder whether you were enough, I had already decided that your life carried value no wound could erase. Pain came later. Struggle came later. Human misunderstanding came later. But none of those later chapters were powerful enough to rewrite what was already spoken first. This is why I tell you now that what hurt you cannot define you more deeply than what I declared before pain ever arrived. Your wounds may explain certain fears, but they do not own your identity. Your hard seasons may explain why some places inside you became quiet, but they do not erase what I established before sorrow learned your name. God wrote destiny before human rejection happened. Before any closed door made you question yourself, before any conversation left you feeling unseen, before any silence from others made you wonder whether you mattered, before anyone failed to understand the tenderness of your heart, destiny was already written. I did not wait to see how others would treat you before deciding your worth. I did not wait to see whether people would approve of you before placing purpose inside you. Destiny was not a reaction to what happened later. It was spoken before later ever existed. There were pages in heaven carrying meaning for your life before earth ever offered confusion. This is why rejection cannot cancel what was written earlier than rejection itself. Before they misunderstood you, I understood you. Before they judged what they had not fully seen, I already knew the hidden places they never touched. Before they formed opinions from incomplete understanding, I knew your motives, your tenderness, your fears. your strengths, your silent endurance, and the private battles behind what others only saw on the surface. There were moments when people interpreted your silence wrongly, when they misunderstood your distance, when they misread your heart because they only saw fragments of you. But I never saw fragments. I always saw the whole story. I understood why certain words hurt you deeply. I understood why certain seasons changed how you responded. I understood why some disappointments remained heavier than others. Even when others thought they knew you enough to define you, I still held the deeper truth untouched by their limited vision. Heaven recorded purpose, the earth recorded your birth. Before documents carried your name, before voices announced your arrival, before calendars marked your first day, heaven had already written what earth had not yet discovered. Your name was not first written on earth. It was first held where eternity remembers without error. Your life entered time carrying meaning that was already known above you. That means you are not an accidental person moving through accidental years hoping meaning appears later. Meaning existed before your arrival. Purpose existed before your first cry. Assignment existed before your first memory. Your name was written in heaven where no darkness can erase it. There are days when you question whether mistakes have changed too much, whether weakness has delayed too much, whether lost time has diminished something important. But what heaven records is not erased by the shadows you pass through. Darkness can pressure thoughts, but it cannot rewrite what heaven has established. Failure can wound confidence, but it cannot remove your name from what love already decided. Even now, while you remember moments you wish had unfolded differently, heaven still sees the same name, the same worth, the same calling to remain close, the same life still held carefully. You are not accidental, my child. Not your personality, not your sensitivity, not your depth, not even the parts of yourself you sometimes struggle to explain. And nothing about your existence happened without intention. Even what you think is unusual about you carries meaning you do not yet fully understand. The way your heart feels deeply, the way certain things affect you strongly, the way silence sometimes speaks loudly inside you, the way you notice details others ignore, none of these are random features placed carelessly into your life. I formed you deliberately, with attention deeper than you know. So when you look back and wonder why your path has included certain chapters, remember this first truth before every later chapter: before womb, before family, before world, before pain, before misunderstanding, before rejection, before tears, before struggle, before delay, I have already knew you completely and still called your life forward. Nothing that happened later has surprised me, and nothing that happened later has made me reconsider the value I placed on you from the beginning. You were never random to heaven, never unnoticed in eternity, never unwanted in my heart. You were known before you arrived, loved before you understood love, and written before earth ever learned how to speak your name. My child, the reason your heart has been feeling unusual recently is because something deeper than ordinary emotion has been happening within you, even when you could not find the right words to explain it. You have tried to understand why certain days feel heavier than they should, why simple moments suddenly carry weight, why silence has become louder, why your thoughts sometimes move in circles even when nothing outwardly dramatic has changed. There have been moments when you woke up and could not explain why your spirit already felt tired before the day had fully begun. There have been times when nothing around you looked wrong, yet something within you felt unsettled, as though your heart recognized a movement your mind could not yet interpret. You wondered whether you were simply exhausted, whether life had become too heavy, whether emotions were becoming harder to manage, but I tell you gently, that what you are feeling is not only natural weariness. Part of what you are sensing is spiritual heaviness, because when unseen things begin shifting, the heart often notices before understanding arrives. Spiritual heaviness does not always announce itself with clear explanations. Sometimes it comes quietly, resting on your thoughts without visible reason, making ordinary tasks feel strangely difficult, making conversations feel harder than before, making joy seem distant even when you still try to function normally. You have noticed how certain things that once felt easy now require more effort inside you. Even when you continue moving, part of your heart feels as if it is carrying something invisible. You may sit in familiar places and still feel unfamiliar within yourself. You may speak normally and yet inwardly feel as though something deeper remains unsettled. This is because there are moments when the spirit becomes aware that one season is loosening while another is approaching, and that inner awareness often feels heavier before it becomes clear. Your soul senses transitions before your thoughts can name them, and because of that, heaviness often arrives before understanding. There have also been strange emotions passing through you, emotions that do not always seem connected to the exact moment you are living. At times you feel suddenly reflective without knowing why. At times old memories surface unexpectedly, not because you are trying to return to the past, but because something within you is quietly examining what has shaped you. At times you feel sensitive to small things that normally would not stay with you so long. A sentence someone says lingers longer than expected. A silence in a room feels heavier than before. A simple memory returns and touches you more deeply than you thought it would. These are not always signs that something is wrong. Often they are signs that deeper places within you are becoming more awake because I am drawing near to places you usually keep guarded. Inner restlessness has also been speaking inside you. You have felt it in moments when you could not fully settle, even when nothing obvious demanded urgency. You tried to rest, yet your thoughts continued moving. You tried to distract yourself, yet something inside remained unsatisfied. You looked for peace in familiar routines, but some familiar things no longer quiet your heart the way they once did. There are reasons for this. Restlessness is not always a sign of failure or instability. Sometimes it is the first whisper that your spirit knows a transition has begun. Sometimes what once held you comfortably begins to feel too small because I am preparing your heart to recognize that something deeper is unfolding. I allow certain comforts to lose their power so that you begin listening more carefully to what I am stirring beneath the surface. Type "Heaven is my forever home" if your eyes stay fixed on eternity's promise. And share this video. Be careful, my child, you are right. What you feel is real. Read this twice and do not rush it, because after this moment your life will never be the same. Today I will show you what I have been quietly hiding for you all along. Listen to my voice carefully. Slow your heart for a moment and allow these words to reach the deepest place inside you. I know the thoughts that have been moving through your mind lately. I know the questions you have been carrying quietly. I know the strange feeling that has been following you like a shadow, the feeling that something unseen is happening around you. You tried to ignore it. You tried to explain it away. But it never truly left you. My child, you are not imagining this. I placed that feeling inside you. It was never confusion. It was never fear. It was never anxiety. It was me, gently touching your spirit and trying to get your attention. You have been asking yourself why things feel different lately. Why certain people suddenly seem distant. Why certain doors that once seemed open have quietly closed. Why your heart keeps whispering that change is near even though your eyes cannot yet see it. These questions did not appear in your mind by accident. I have been moving pieces around your life in silence. While you were sleeping, I was working. While you were worrying, I was protecting you. While you were wondering if you had lost something important, I was hiding something greater for the right moment. There are things I did not allow you to see earlier, because if you had seen them too soon you would not have understood them. Your heart was still learning. Your spirit was still growing. And the path I prepared for you required patience that you did not yet have. But now the moment has arrived when you must begin to see differently. The quiet feeling in your chest, the one that sometimes appears without warning, was never random. It was the signal that your spirit is waking up. It was the gentle reminder that your life is not ordinary and your path is not simple. I have been guiding you step by step even when you believed you were walking alone. There were days when you thought I was silent. There were nights when you wondered if I had forgotten you. But my silence was never absence. My silence was preparation. Every delay had a reason. Every closed door and protection hidden inside it. Every disappointment carried a lesson that was shaping the strength you will soon need. You must understand something important now. The world around you shows only the surface of what is happening. But I see the full story. I see the paths people take before they cross your life. I see the intentions hidden behind their words. I see the dangers that tried to approach you long before you ever noticed them. Many times I moved things away from you quietly. Many times I allowed plans to fall apart because those plans were leading you somewhere that would have wounded your future. You thought you were losing something. But in truth, I was protecting something far more valuable that belongs to you. And that is why I am asking you to be careful now. Careful with your thoughts. Careful with your trust. Careful with the voices you allow to influence your heart. Because the moment you are entering is not a small moment in your life. It is a turning point that will slowly change how you see everything around you. My child, there are truths that only become clear when a person is ready to receive them. And you are closer to that moment than you realize. Do not rush these words. Let them settle into your spirit. Read them slowly if you must. Return to them again if your heart asks you to. There are things hidden inside this message that your mind may not notice the first time. And that is why I told you to read this twice. Many people will pass by these words without understanding them. Many will look for quick answers and move on when they do not find them immediately. But you stopped here for a reason. Something inside you felt the pull to stay. That feeling was not coincidence. That was me. You almost kept scrolling. You almost ignored this moment the same way you ignore many quiet whispers that tried to reach you during your day. But something inside you paused. Something inside you said, wait. Pay attention. That voice was not your imagination. That voice was me calling you closer. There are moments in life when heaven gently interrupts the ordinary flow of your day. Moments when something simple suddenly carries a deeper meaning. This is one of those moments. I do not speak loudly when I guide my children. I do not force my voice into your life. Instead, I speak in ways that your spirit can recognize even when your mind is unsure. The feeling that something important is about to happen has been growing inside you. Sometimes it appears when you are quiet. Sometimes it comes during moments when you are alone with your thoughts. It feels like a quiet awareness that something unseen is moving around you. You wondered if you were overthinking. You wondered if you were just tired. But deep down you sensed that something more was happening. You were right. What you feel is real. There are changes being prepared in your life that you cannot fully see yet. And because of that, I must also warn you gently. Not every person around you will understand the direction I am taking you. Not every person will celebrate what is coming into your life. Some will question it. Some will resist it. Some will try to hold you in the version of yourself that they are comfortable with. But the path I have prepared for you is not controlled by their understanding. This is why you must be careful. Not fearful, but aware. Be careful about who you share your deepest dreams with. Be careful about the voices that try to fill your mind with doubt. Be careful about the people who quietly hope that you remain small because your growth makes them uncomfortable. I am not asking you to distrust the world. I am asking you to listen more closely to the wisdom I placed inside your spirit. Type Jesus. I desperately need you if you know He's your only true answer. That inner knowing has been guiding you longer than you realize. There were moments when it warned you about certain people before their actions became clear. There were times when it told you to step away from situations that later proved harmful. There were days when it encouraged you to keep going even when everything around you suggested giving up. That voice inside you has always been connected to me. And now I want you to understand something that may surprise you. The things you believed you lost were not truly taken away. The opportunities that disappeared, the relationships that faded, the plans that collapsed when you thought they would succeed. You looked at those moments and believed something precious had been removed from your life. But what you did not see was what I was quietly doing behind the curtain of your understanding. I was protecting your future. I was redirecting your steps. I was preparing something that required the exact timing you are approaching now. If those earlier paths had continued, they would have carried you far away from what truly belongs to you. So I allowed certain things to end before they could lead you somewhere that would have taken years to repair. My child, nothing that truly belongs to you can be stolen from you. What is meant for you will always find its way back when the time is right. And the time is beginning to approach. So read these words carefully. Let them move slowly through your heart. Because the message you are receiving now is not simply information. It is preparation. Preparation for clarity. Preparation for understanding. Preparation for the moment when you will finally see why certain things in your life had to happen exactly the way they did. And when that moment arrives, you will understand why I told you at the very beginning, be careful, my child. Because you were right. What you feel is real, my child. There is a reason your heart kept whispering that something was not right. There is a reason that quiet feeling refused to disappear no matter how many times you tried to ignore it. You thought perhaps it was stress. You wondered if it was simply your mind being tired. Some days you even told yourself that you were overthinking things. But deep inside, the feeling stayed. It waited patiently beneath the surface of your thoughts, gently reminding you that something around you was changing. I was the one who placed that awareness inside you. Long before your mind began asking questions, your spirit was already noticing things your eyes could not yet understand. The heart I gave you is not only meant to feel love or sadness. It is also meant to sense truth. Your spirit can recognize movements in the world around you before your mind has the words to explain them. That is why the feeling came quietly at first. It did not shout. It did not force itself upon you. It simply whispered. Many times you felt it during moments when everything around you seemed normal. You were going through your day, speaking with people, completing your responsibilities, moving through your routine like any other day. Yet inside you there was a small pause, a strange awareness that something beneath the surface was different. Sometimes it appeared when you were around certain people. You could not explain it, but the energy around them felt heavy. Their words sounded friendly, yet something within you felt uneasy. You tried to dismiss that feeling because you did not want to judge anyone unfairly. You told yourself that you were being sensitive, but the quiet signal inside your heart kept returning. That was not fear speaking to you. That was wisdom waking up. I have placed a sensitivity inside you that allows you to notice what others overlook. This is not a weakness. It is a gift that grows stronger when you begin to trust it. Your heart has been learning how to recognize truth even when it is hidden behind smiles, polite conversations, and familiar routines. You also began noticing changes within yourself. Things that once felt comfortable suddenly felt strange. Conversations that once excited you started to feel empty. Places where you used to spend time no longer brought you the same peace. At first you wondered if something was wrong with you, but nothing was wrong with you. Your spirit was simply growing. When the awareness I place inside a person begins to awaken, they start to see life differently. The things that once satisfied them begin to lose their meaning. The noise of the world becomes easier to recognize. The distractions that once filled their time slowly lose their power. You began to feel disconnected from certain people, and this confused you. These were people you had known for a long time. You shared memories with them. You laughed with them. You trusted them. Yet something within you started to feel distant, as if an invisible space had quietly formed between your heart and theirs. To support our channel, we dedicate our work to bringing happiness to your heart and drawing you closer to God. If you'd like to help us continue this mission, you can contribute through Super Thanks. Your support truly means a lot. You tried to fix that feeling. You tried to bring the connection back the way it once was. But the more you tried, the more you noticed that the distance remained. This was not because you were becoming cold or distant. It was because your spirit was beginning to recognize things your heart could not ignore anymore. Sometimes people walk beside you only for a season of your life. Their presence serves a purpose for a moment, but that moment does not last forever. When the time for growth arrives, the path I prepare for you begins to move in a different direction than the path others choose to follow. Your heart sensed the shift before your mind understood it. That is why you sometimes felt quiet while others were talking. That is why you sometimes preferred silence instead of joining conversations that once felt natural. It was not loneliness. It was your spirit listening more closely. There were also moments of sudden clarity that surprised you. Small moments when a simple thought appeared in your mind and everything suddenly made sense. You might have been walking, sitting alone, or simply resting when a realization came to you without warning. In those moments you saw certain situations clearly. You understood why certain events had happened. You recognized patterns in the behavior of people around you. The confusion that once surrounded those memories suddenly faded, replaced by calm understanding. Those moments were not random thoughts. They were gentle lights of understanding that I allowed your spirit to see. Your heart has always been able to recognize truth, but the mind often tries to explain everything with logic. Sometimes the mind doubts what the spirit already knows. It asks for proof. It asks for evidence. But spiritual awareness does not always arrive with loud announcements or clear explanations. Sometimes it arrives as a quiet knowing. You felt that knowing when you realized certain relationships were not as strong as you once believed. You felt it when you noticed that some people celebrated your struggles, but grew silent when you began to grow. You felt it when certain words spoken by others carried hidden intentions that your heart could sense even though your ears only heard simple sentences. My child, the awareness you have been feeling is the beginning of deeper understanding. I have planted spiritual sensitivity inside you because the path you are walking requires it. There are moments ahead where you will need to recognize truth quickly. There will be situations where the difference between wisdom and distraction must be clear to you. So I began preparing your heart slowly. I allowed you to notice things earlier than others. I allowed you to feel certain shifts before they became visible. I allowed your spirit to question what your eyes were seeing. This preparation did not happen in a single moment. It unfolded quietly across many days and nights. You remember those moments when you felt like stepping away from certain conversations. You remember the times when your heart urged you to stay silent instead of sharing your thoughts. You remember the gentle discomfort that appeared when something around you did not feel genuine. Each of those moments was part of your awakening. You were learning to trust the voice inside you. That voice has always been connected to me. It is not separate from my guidance. When your heart gently warns you, it is often because I am helping you see something that your eyes have not yet noticed. You began to sense when a situation did not align with the peace I placed inside you. Even if everything looked normal from the outside, your spirit could feel when something beneath the surface was not right. This is why your heart kept whispering. It did not shout because truth does not need to force itself. Truth waits patiently until a person is ready to recognize it. Now you are beginning to understand what those whispers meant. They were preparing you to see the world more clearly. You are not becoming distant from people because something is wrong with you. You are becoming more aware of the energy around you. Your spirit is learning to recognize which environments bring peace and which ones quietly drain your strength. When your awareness grows, certain connections naturally begin to change. Conversations become different. Priorities shift. The things that once filled your time begin to feel less important. This change can feel confusing at first, because growth often creates distance between your present self and the life you once lived. But do not be afraid of this shift. It is a sign that your spirit is listening. The quiet voice inside you has always been guiding you toward truth, even when the path ahead seemed unclear. It has helped you avoid situations that would have brought unnecessary pain. It has shown you when to move closer to certain people and when to step back. You may not have realized it at the time, but many of your decisions were influenced by that inner awareness. There were times when you chose not to go somewhere, not to say something, or not to trust someone completely. Later you discovered that those choices protected you in ways you could not have predicted. That protection came from the wisdom I placed inside your heart. Your spiritual awareness is not meant to make you fearful of the world. It is meant to help you move through the world with clarity. When your heart senses something, it is simply asking you to pay attention. There is a difference between fear and awareness. Fear closes the heart and creates confusion. Awareness opens the eyes and brings understanding. What you have been feeling is awareness. You are learning to listen more carefully to the signals within you. You are learning to recognize when something aligns with peace and when something quietly disturbs it. And the more you trust this awareness, the clearer your path will become. My child, nothing about your experience is strange or unusual in my eyes. It is the natural beginning of a deeper connection. between your spirit and my guidance. Your heart whispered because it was learning to hear. Your mind questioned because it was learning to understand. And now both are beginning to work together. The awareness growing inside you is not confusion. It is not imagination. It is not sensitivity that needs to be silenced. It is the spiritual light I placed within you so that you could recognize truth even in the middle of a noisy world. And now that this awareness has begun to awaken, you will start to see things more clearly than before. My child, there is something I want you to understand about the seasons that confused you the most. During the moments when you felt lost, when nothing seemed to make sense, when your plans suddenly collapsed and your expectations fell apart, you believed that something had gone wrong. You looked at those moments and thought your path had been broken. But what you did not see was that while you were standing in confusion, a battle was taking place around you that your eyes could not detect. Come and I live and breathe for you, Christ, if your life rests safely in His hands. You saw the surface of events, but I saw everything hidden beneath them. There are times in a person's life when the greatest protection does not look like success. It does not look like doors opening or people staying. Sometimes protection appears as sudden endings, unexpected changes, and plans that stop moving forward. From the outside it feels like loss. From the inside it feels like disappointment. But from where I stand, it is the moment when danger is quietly being removed from your path. There were doors in your life that closed so suddenly that you barely had time to understand what had happened. You had hopes connected to those doors. You had imagined what your life would look like if those opportunities continued to grow. You invested your thoughts and energy into the future you believed was waiting for you on the other side. Then, without warning, the door closed. At first you thought it was a mistake. You wondered if you had done something wrong. You replayed your decisions again and again in your mind, searching for the moment where things might have changed. But no matter how many times you examined the situation, the answer never appeared. What you did not know was that I saw where that door would eventually lead you. From your position you could only see the beginning of the path. But I could see the entire road ahead. I could see the people you would encounter. I could see the moments that would slowly pull you away from the peace and purpose I had prepared for you. And because I love you, I did not allow that path to remain open. So the door closed. Not because you failed, not because you were unworthy, but because something further ahead on that road would have caused pain that your heart did not deserve. There were also plans that suddenly stopped working even though you believed everything was going perfectly. You had prepared carefully. You had given your effort and your time. Every step seemed to move forward in the right direction. Then something unexpected happened that changed everything. Maybe it was a delay. Maybe it was a decision made by someone else. Maybe circumstances shifted in ways you could not control. Whatever the reason, the plan that once seemed so certain suddenly lost its momentum. You looked at that moment and felt frustration. You wondered why the effort you gave did not produce the result you expected. You questioned whether you should have tried harder or chosen a different direction. But what you could not see was the quiet battle that had already begun. Some paths look beautiful at the beginning, but hide storms further ahead. Some opportunities seem perfect at first, but slowly lead people away from the life they were meant to live. If I had allowed those plans to continue exactly as you imagined them, they would have taken you far from the peace that belongs to you. So I slowed the path down. I allowed obstacles to appear. I allowed circumstances to shift so that the plan would no longer move forward the way you expected. To you, it felt like disappointment. To me, it was protection. There were also relationships that ended in ways you never expected. Some of those endings hurt deeply because the connection once felt genuine and strong. You shared your thoughts with those people. You trusted them with parts of your life that you did not reveal easily to others. Then slowly, or sometimes suddenly, the relationship changed. Maybe their words began to feel distant. Maybe their actions became confusing. Maybe misunderstandings appeared where there had once been comfort. The connection that once felt natural started to feel strained. You tried to repair it. You tried to understand what had changed. But no matter how much effort you gave, the closeness you once felt could not return to the way it was before. Those moments left questions in your heart. You wondered why someone who once stood beside you could no longer walk with you the same way. You wondered if you had missed something important along the way. But what you could not see was the quiet shift that had already taken place inside their heart and around your path. Some people are allowed to walk beside you for a season of your life, but they are not meant to stay for the entire journey. Their presence serves a purpose during a certain time, but the road ahead requires different companions, different lessons, and different growth. If I had forced those relationships to remain unchanged, they would have eventually created deeper pain than the separation itself. Sometimes distance is the kindest protection I can give you, even though it does not feel that way at the moment it happens. You saw the ending, but I saw what would have happened if the connection had continued. My child, there are battles that happen around you that your eyes will never see. There are moments when I quietly move obstacles away from your path long before you notice them. There are dangers that approach your life but never reach you because I have already stood between you and the harm they carried. You often measure events by what you lose in the moment, but I measure them by what you are protected from in the future. There were situations that tried to enter your life that would have drained your energy, distracted your focus, and slowly moved you away from the purpose I placed within you. You did not see those dangers because they were hidden beneath attractive opportunities and friendly faces, but I saw them clearly. So I stepped in quietly. I allowed things to end before they could become permanent. I allowed confusion to interrupt certain paths so that you would pause before moving further. I allowed changes to appear that you could not control because those changes were guiding you away from places where your spirit would have suffered. When you look back at those moments now, you may still feel a small sense of disappointment or sadness. That is natural. Your heart had hopes connected to those situations. You imagined a future that seemed meaningful to you at the time. But I want you to begin seeing those moments differently. They were not signs that your life was falling apart. They were signs that your life was being carefully guarded. Every door that closed protected a door that must open later. Every plan that failed created space for a path that belongs to you more fully. Every relationship that ended removed an influence that could not walk beside the person you are becoming. And nothing that truly belongs to you can be permanently taken away. If something disappears from your life despite your honest effort and sincere intentions, it is often because that thing was never meant to remain in the story I am writing for you. The battles you could not see were never meant to frighten you. They were meant to protect you. You do not need to carry anger toward the moments that confused you. You do not need to regret the opportunities that disappeared or the people who stepped away from your life. Instead, you can begin to see those moments as quiet acts of care that happened long before you understood their meaning. While you were wondering why things were changing, I was standing beside you, making sure that what was not meant for you would not remain. While you were questioning the direction of your life, I was guiding your steps toward a path that holds more peace than you could see at that time. The battle was never yours to fight alone. I was already fighting it for you. And every time something unexpected happened that seemed to block your plans, it was often the moment when I gently moved your life away from harm and closer to the future that truly belongs to you. My child, there is a question your heart has asked many times during the quiet nights when everything around you felt heavy. You wondered why there were seasons when you felt so alone. You wondered why people who once surrounded you slowly faded away. You wondered why the world sometimes felt distant even when you were standing in the middle of it. In those moments, it seemed as if you were walking through life without the comfort you once knew. I saw every one of those moments. I saw the nights when your thoughts became louder than the world around you. I saw the silence that filled the room when you wished someone understood what you were feeling inside. I saw the way you tried to stay strong even when your heart was carrying questions that had no easy answers. You believed that loneliness meant something was wrong with your life. But I want you to understand something deeper now. Those seasons of loneliness were not punishment. They were preparation. There are moments in a person's journey when I gently separate them from the noise of the world so that their spirit can grow stronger. When people are surrounded by constant voices, constant opinions, and constant distractions, it becomes difficult for them to hear the quiet guidance that comes from me. So sometimes I allow silence to enter their lives. At first, that silence feels uncomfortable. It feels unfamiliar. People often try to fill it quickly because they do not understand its purpose. They search for distractions, conversations, and busy moments just to avoid sitting with their own thoughts. But your journey required something different. You needed moments where your heart could listen without interference. There were nights when doubt visited your mind. You questioned your direction. You wondered if you were moving the wrong way. You wondered if the distance you felt from others meant that you were losing something important. Those nights were difficult, and I know you felt the weight of them. You lay awake with thoughts that kept repeating in your mind. You asked questions that seemed to echo without answers. Sometimes you tried to explain your feelings to others, but the words never seemed to capture what you were truly experiencing. This is why you often felt misunderstood. People around you could see your outer life, but they could not see the deeper transformation happening within you. They saw your actions, but they could not hear the quiet conversations taking place between your spirit and mind. And because they could not see what was happening inside you, they did not always understand why you were changing. You began noticing that some conversations no longer felt meaningful. Some gatherings no longer brought the comfort they once did. You started to feel like you were standing in the same room as everyone else, but somehow experiencing the moment differently. That feeling confused you. You wondered if you were becoming distant. You wondered if something in you had changed in a way you could not explain. The truth is that something had changed. Your spirit was growing. Growth often requires separation. Just as a seed must be placed beneath the soil before it can rise toward the light, your heart needed moments of quiet before it could become stronger. The silence you experienced was the soil where your understanding began to deepen. During those lonely nights, you started thinking about your life more honestly. You examined your choices. You reflected on the people around you. You noticed patterns that you had overlooked before. Without realizing it, you were beginning to see your life more clearly. In the silence, you also began to speak with me more often. Sometimes those conversations were not formal prayers. Sometimes they were simply quiet thoughts directed toward the sky, moments when you asked for guidance without even realizing you were reaching out. I heard every one of those moments. Even when your words were uncertain, your heart was searching for truth. Even when you felt unsure about your direction, you were moving closer to the connection that matters most. Loneliness as a way of bringing people closer to the place where they can truly hear me. When distractions fade and the noise of the world grows quiet, the heart becomes more sensitive to the presence that has always been there. You were never truly alone. I was with you in every moment of that silence. When you felt misunderstood, I understood you. When you felt unseen, I saw every thought moving through your mind. When you felt like no one around you could fully hear your heart, I was already listening. The separation you experienced was not meant to harm you. It was meant to strengthen the connection between you and me. When a person learns to depend only on the approval and understanding of others, their peace becomes fragile. It rises and falls depending on the opinions around them. But when a person learns to depend on my guidance, their foundation becomes steady. Your season of loneliness was quietly teaching you this truth. You were learning that your worth does not come from how many people stand beside you. Your peace does not come from constant attention. Your strength does not come from the approval of the crowd. Your strength comes from the connection that exists between your spirit and the one who created it. During those quiet moments, you began discovering parts of yourself that had been hidden beneath the noise of everyday life. You noticed your thoughts more clearly. You recognized your values more deeply. You began to understand what truly matters to your heart. These discoveries could not have happened if your life had remained constantly busy and surrounded by distractions. Silence creates space for understanding, and understanding prepares the heart for elevation. You may not have realized it at the time, but the separation you experienced was gently lifting you toward a new level of awareness. Certain people could not walk with you into that new season because their path was different from yours. If everyone had remained close to you exactly the way they once were, the growth happening inside you would have been much more difficult. Type "Heaven is my forever home" if your eyes stay fixed on eternity's promise. And share this video.